Russian military shot down 115 Ukrainian drones on Tuesday night, the Russian Defense Ministry reported. It is noted that the largest number of drones were shot down over the territory of the Kursk region, 109. During the past night, air defense systems on duty intercepted and destroyed 115 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles of the aircraft type, 3 UAVs, over the territory of the Voronezh region, 1 UAV each, over the territories of the Moscow region, Bryansk and Oryol regions, the report says. As a result of the massive attack on Kursk, an 85-year-old woman died. Another 9 people were injured, and fires broke out in several houses. Authorities said the injured suffered shrapnel wounds, traumatic brain injuries and burns. Multiple fires broke out in residential buildings. The 8th and 9th floors of a high-rise were damaged, and 5 floors burned in another building. Officials said metal fragments, including steel balls, were found at one of the impact sites. Several residents were relocated to temporary shelters. A drone also struck an ambulance garage, damaging 11 vehicles. 3 private homes were reportedly hit. This attack follows a deadly Russian missile strike on Sunday, April 13, when 2 ballistic missiles with cluster munitions hit the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy, killing 34 people and wounding more than 100 others. Emergency crews are currently on scene attending to injured victims. Kursk Oblast, situated on the Russia-Ukraine border, is the site of Ukraine's incursion into the region and sees regular fighting. Russia regularly strikes Ukrainian cities with drone attacks, greatly outnumbering Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory.
Перекончен еще один нахуй. Пизда. Ебанулся. Союзный пиздец, короче.
Future German Chancellor Friedrich Merz stated that he personally always advocated the transfer of German cruise missiles to Ukraine. According to the CDU/CSU leader, he has consistently advocated the readiness to hand over German-Swedish missiles to the Ukrainian armed forces. He has not changed his position and is ready to implement this as Chancellor of Germany if his European colleagues do not object. Merz reminded the media that 2 European countries and the United States have already supplied or continue to supply cruise missiles to Ukraine. If an agreement is reached, Germany is also ready to begin deliveries, the German politician emphasized. According to him, the Ukrainian armed forces must move from defensive actions to more active ones. For the 3rd year in a row, the Ukrainian army has been mainly reacting to the enemy's actions. However, the time has come to influence the course of events themselves, Merz said. He also named possible targets for the use of Taurus missiles. These are the ground supply lines of the Russian armed forces connecting Crimea with mainland Russia. As early as May the 6th, Germany could get a new chancellor. Friedrich Merz is expected to become one. Last week, Merz also said that Ukraine would only be able to become a full member of the EU after the war was over. Germany's outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz has repeatedly rejected pleas from Kiev and its allies to supply the Ukrainian armed forces with Taurus missiles, which have an intelligent warhead system that can inflict huge damage to structures such as bridges and bunkers. The 500-kilometer-plus range of the Taurus system, built by a joint venture between the European missile maker MBDA and Sweden's Saab, is longer than the Storm Shadows supplied by the British and French and the Army Tactical Missile System provided by the US, and would allow Ukraine's armed forces to strike deep beyond the front line. Scholz has said supplying Kiev with Taurus missiles would carry a great risk of escalation in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Merz, the leader of the centre-right Christian Democrats, which came first in February's federal election, criticised that stance, calling on Scholz last October to set out an ultimatum to Putin and vow to deliver the weapons within 24 hours if he failed to halt attacks on civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. The number of Russian assaults has increased in the area of the city of Toretsk in the Donetsk region, said Ukrainian Armed Forces officer Sergei Tsekotsky on air at Freedom. The situation in the Toretsk area is quite difficult. There are street battles. Our troops are in the city, but there are more enemy forces there. The Russians are pressing, wanting to find our weak spots and increasing their presence, he said. According to him, in this direction, the Russians are trying with all their might to achieve some success and hang out their tricolour in Toretsk. Russian troops have also become more active in the Konstantinovka area as well as in the Pokrovsk direction, Tsekotsky noted. The enemy is using absolutely terrorist methods of warfare. We can already openly say that they are dropping ammunition from drones that explode at a certain time. This underlines the very principle of the behavior of Putin's troops. They are fighting against the civilian population. The officer emphasized, "Let us recall that, as stated by the 100th Separate Mechanized Brigade, the losses of the Russian occupiers in the battle for Toretsk have already exceeded 15,000 killed. During this time, the enemy suffered, without any exaggeration, catastrophic losses in manpower. The number of irreparable losses of the enemy exceeds 15,000 in Toretsk. These are the occupiers who were destroyed. If we talk about the total losses of the enemy in our direction during this period, then this is already more than 50,000 personnel. Kremlin propagandists have already announced the liberation of Toretsk several times. We all remember this well. There were even several attempts to hang out a dirty tricolour rag somewhere on the outskirts of Toretsk, but all these attempts failed, said head of the communications department of the 100th Separate Mechanized Brigade, Captain Sergei Kominsky. The officer noted that fierce street fighting continues in Toretsk and contact can be very close. Kominsky recalled that there were situations when Ukrainian and enemy positions in a building were separated only by a corridor. You understand how close this contact is, how fierce the fighting is. He added that the unprecedented battle for Toretsk is possible thanks to the heroism of Ukrainian soldiers. But, first of all, it is the infantry. What our infantry is doing now in Toretsk perhaps has no precedent in world military history. So that you understand, it is not possible to change personnel at the positions in Toretsk often, because entering the positions, leaving the positions is a mortal danger. And so we had cases when a specific fighter was at the positions for 77 days. He returned, rested, and entered the positions again. There were cases when fighters were at the positions in Toretsk for more than 100 days. That is more than 3 months. To say that this is heroism is to say nothing. These are simply titans of people. Our brigade has long been called the Steel 100. You understand why this is so, the officer said.